I want to thank you for joining us this evening as we honor and go deeper into understanding the life and legacy of one of the world's most important persons of African descent, the late Congressman, civil rights and human rights leader, John Lewis. I think we do need to clap. And let's take a moment of silence just to acknowledge and recognize his passing and the change that he brought into this world and our lives. So tonight, we're very excited to partner with Story Spaces to screen this film, especially at this time. To say that it's been a turbulent year full of good trouble would be an understatement. As you guys all know, just in the last week, once again, we've seen the excessive use of force nearly kill another Black person. Another Black American man in Wisconsin, while a white supremacist with an AR-15 murdered 2 people and was treated like he was one of the law enforcement officers as he roamed the streets. This type of state-sanctioned violence against people of African descent in America with no accountability has gone on for far too long. Mr. Lewis spent much of his young adult years placing his body on the front lines against this type of inhumane treatment through non-violent protest. He later used his voice as a member of Congress to hold the United States accountable to its own ideals of democracy and to the promise that each person on American soil has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As we can see, unfortunately, those ideals and promises remain elusive to a large segment of the American population. Mr. Lewis's legacy as a civil and human rights leader, along with the many others with whom he worked and marched, were connected with movements across the world, including the fight against apartheid in South Africa. There we go. I think we should have a cheer for that as well. So to this day, Congressman Lewis's cries for and commitment to a more just and equitable global society ring louder than ever before. As we reflect on his life and his persistent belief that collective actions towards a common purpose can achieve a more perfect union and a better world must not be taken in vain. His legacy is dependent on each of us to continue moving this work and his words forward. So tonight, we welcome our partners at Census 2020, the League of Women Voters of the City of New York, and Youth United for Black Lives, to share with you how Mr. Lewis continues to inspire young people taking to the streets today, why we must register and exercise our right to vote, and why taking 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to complete your census application is critical to making sure our Black, Brown, Indigenous, and immigrant communities receive the federal resources we need and deserve as we stay on the path to recovery over the next few years. Yeah. We should cheer for that. I like that. We're also excited to welcome the Office, Performing Arts and Film, to present the artist Carrie Mae Weems's Resist COVID, Take 6 campaign. Sorry, I got papers in my hand. This is not ideal. Take 6 campaign to reinforce how important it is for us to remain vigilant in preventing the spread of COVID-19 that has disproportionately affected Black, Brown, and Native American communities. We should clap for that as well. You guys can clap. This is a fun night. This is a night in which we're gonna celebrate, we're gonna learn, and we're gonna celebrate in solidarity with each other. And so now I would like to introduce Famod Konneh from Census 2020. Famod is a longtime friend of the Africa Center and is the Deputy Director of Strategic Partnerships at NYC Census 2020, an office established by Mayor Bill de Blasio to ensure that every New Yorker is counted in the 2020 census. So Famod, would you please come up to the stage?
Thank you, Jose. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Okay, that's much better. So first, I want to say thank you to the Africa Center for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight at this amazing event. And I also want to give shout out to the African community because this is September, and September is African Heritage Month, so this is the best time to celebrate this event tonight. So shout out to all my African brothers and sisters in the house. You know, it's a very critical moment in our history, and I want to start by that before I even talked about the incredible work of the congressman. If you look at our self-response rate as we speak today, and remember we got 30 days left, 30 days left. Today, New York City self-response is 57%. The national average is 64. 10 years ago, our national self-response rate was 62. We didn't do well, and I'm sure all of you know 62 is not a passing grade. And that was the reason why the mayor went ahead and created my unit so that we can galvanize and mobilize the city population to do the census. Unfortunately, we had the pandemic, but we have really put into place different mechanisms and campaigns to make sure that we get the city population counted. But it's unfortunate that we have 30 days left and we are at 57%. So tonight, I really want you to understand that this is not about us now, because I'm confident that all of you have done the census, right? Okay, very good. So this is not about us anymore. This is about our neighbors. This is about our family. This is about our friends. Like the Congressman John Lewis, his social justice movement wasn't about himself. It was about people, right? So this is about people now. Because the way I see this, and the analogy I give is like a party, right? Someone like Africa Center organized a party and said, hey, you have to RSVP to the party. And if you RSVP, you're gonna get a full plate, chicken, crab, and everything, and all the goodies. And you know what? I want a full plate, so I RSVP because I want a full plate. I really want to come to the party and have fun and get a glass of, soda or whatever. And then my neighbor said, I'm not going to RSVP. I want to go to that event anyway. And you know what? Dude, because you didn't RSVP, I'm not going to get a full plate anymore. My plate is going to be cut just to, accommodate you. So that's how the census is to me. I have done my part already. I've RSVP. All right, I have RSVP. I want my full plate. So everyone else needs to RSVP so we can all get a full plate to this party. So this is what the movement is all about now. Making sure that my neighbors, my family, my cousin, my brothers, my sisters, we all RSVP to this party because it's going to be a hell of a party, right? So we need to do that. This is what the movement is all about now for the next 30 days. And I have my colleague from the U.S. Census, Sarah, who is in the back there. And Sarah, if you can just raise your hand so people can see you. Like I said, I'm confident that everyone here have done the census already. But if you know someone, you can call now and say, listen, just come to the Africa Center. You're going to watch a beautiful movie, a documentary about the congressman, but you can also have an opportunity to do the census so that we can make this night a great night. Because come September 30th, and we were looking to end this in October 30th, but that couldn't happen. We heard from Washington that it's going to be, cut short to September 30th. So now we have the double of effort to make sure we get all of the city population counted. So I know I have 5 minutes. I don't want to take all of your time, but I just want you to remember that this is not about us anymore because we have done our part. This is about our family. This is about our friends, our neighbors. We need to do this together, all right? So thank you. Join me and let's do this. Thank you very much. Get them to NYC.
What are we going to do? All right, good. Famod, thank you very, very much. Next, I'd like to welcome Diane Burrows, who's the co-president of the League of Women Voters of the City of New York. Diane, if you'd come up. The League of Women Voters of the City of New York is a nonpartisan organization whose purpose is to promote informed and active citizen participation in government. They're committed to empowering citizens with the meaningful information they need to make sound decisions for our democracy. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you all. Thank you. Power comes in many forms. We have power in our voice. One voice can be heard But even if I speak loudly without a microphone and clearly, only a few people near to me will know what I'm saying. But if we join all our voices, our words will resonate and reach all corners of the city. And when we join our voices with even more, we can make our voices echo across the whole country. But this is not enough. We can't just use our voices. We have to convert the power of our voice to the power held within the ballot box. If I vote, I'm counted as one of many. When we all vote, the power of our voice is magnified and we can change history. We vote to elect those who will represent our interests here in our neighborhood. Our city council members, mayor, attorney general, public advocate, they work for us. We vote to elect those who will represent our interests in Albany, our state assembly, our Senate, and the governor. They work for us also. We vote to elect those who will represent our interests in Washington, D.C., our senators, congressional delegation, and the President of the United States. Guess what? They work for us. It is our collective voice that tells them what we expect as they serve us as our elected officials. So how do we get this power? First, be sure that you're registered to vote. Check the Board of Elections website at vote.nyc. You want to check that your registration status is up to date. If you are not registered or you're not sure, re-register right here tonight. Come over to the table over there and I'll help you get registered. Be sure everyone you know is registered. Help them get it done. You can't vote if you're not registered. Make a plan before you vote. Right now in New York, we have 3 different ways to get our voices heard and our votes counted. Vote early. Remember, starting last year, we now have early voting. October 24th through November 1st, poll sites will be open in all neighborhoods. But you have to find out where your poll site is. It may not be your regular November 3rd poll site. Go on to, again, the Board of Elections, vote.nyc, and find your early poll site. The lines will be much shorter when you early vote. It's 9 days of voting. The hours will be different than regular election day, but there will be a total of 9 days. That's 9 different opportunities to get to the polls and be counted when you vote early. Option 2, vote on election day, November 3rd, at your polling spot. Again, go on to vote.nyc to find out if you're not sure where your poll site is. The lines are going to be long, November 3rd, but persevere. The polls on election day will be open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Third choice, vote by absentee ballot. Now is the time to complete the application if you are going to vote by absentee ballot. Again, go to vote.nyc and you can now complete the form online at vote.nyc. If you don't want to do it online, if you come over to my table, I can give you a paper version that you can then mail to the Board of Elections. You will receive the ballot in the mail, and you must return it either to any poll site, either early voting poll site or regular day poll site, or you can mail it in. Be sure to follow all the directions. You probably heard all the news about people who had their ballots on the primary, June 23rd, disqualified. So you want to make sure you sign the envelope and seal the envelope. Don't become disheartened or discouraged by all the obstacles and stumbling blocks. that may be put in our way on our way to the ballot box. This matters. Your vote matters. Who we elect to serve us and represent us matters. Make your voice powerful and share that power with others who want to change history. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Diane. Guess what I just did? I just walked over to that table and I registered to vote. So if you have not registered to vote, go ahead and do it. So what are we going to do? We're either going to what? Vote early, we're going to vote on election day, or we're going to go by absentee ballot, right? Can we repeat that? Vote early, vote on, or vote. All right, guys, you got it. Good. So last but not least, I'd like to welcome Halematu Diallo up to the stage. Halimatou is a young activist who's part of Youth United for Black Lives, a group of young Black people taking direct action and creating safe spaces for Black youth to spread knowledge, express themselves, and support one another. Halimatou, thank you.
Is it on? Good evening, distinguished guests. My name is Halematu Diallo, and I am the co-founder and social media manager for Youth United for Black Lives and the blogger behind Shaba's Thoughts. Growing up as a Black woman in America, I would always ask why. Why are Black people still struggling? Why are people racist? And why are we still fighting for equality? I think today I finally answered it for myself. The world is still uncomfortable with people who look like me doing everything they thought I couldn't do. You see, history has a funny way of repeating itself if we don't learn our lesson the first time around. It's crazy how it's the same mantra over and over again. Love one another, respect one another. It seems quite simple to me, but yet we're still not doing so. Today, we are brought together to celebrate one man who made this his purpose in life. John Lewis was a champion in the ongoing civil rights struggle. He has been fighting for freedom, equality, and basic human rights long before I was born. Every time I think of giving up, I remember all the key figures who have fought for me to be here. If anything, our political climate shows how we need to stand in our purpose, shake some tables, and cause some good trouble. Good trouble is doing what you believe is the right thing to do in the fight for transformative change, regardless of the consequences it may bring. You see, as young people, we see the world a little different than those who came before us because we see there is always more to be done. I know I've gotten myself into a good trouble based on my parents' reaction back in June when I was arrested for protesting. To them, they don't understand why I go out and constantly continue to advocate for equality and social justices. For me, I look at all the trials and tribulations they have gone through and understand that I want more for myself and my children. I refuse to have their grandchildren fighting the same fights that I am fighting now. Now, I ask myself, how can I follow in the footsteps of Congressman Lewis? The answer is simple. Use the stepping stones he has left behind to further elevate the fight for equality. To start, all of us should make sure we are registered to vote and get to the polls this November. He did not march for us to get the right to vote for us not to go out and vote. Like he said, your vote matters. If it didn't, why would some people try to take it away? Right. For the younger generation in the crowd, remember we are never too young to make a difference. Be loud and let the world hear what you have to say. You might be the person with the key to changing all of this. Speak out and get in the way. Don't let anyone silence you or push you to the back. What you have to say is just as important. Let's hold our politicians accountable as we push for astronomical change. Lastly, we should never give up. Yes, change is slow, but this is the beginning of the end. We've come so far from the 1960s, but there is still work to be done. Let's all work together to build a better tomorrow for us all. Thank you.
So I just want to say how proud I am and how motivated I am by Halimatou and her crew. Watch these guys organize a march all the way down Fifth Avenue, cause a lot of good trouble, and lead to a lot of change. So Halimatou, thank you. We all admire what you're doing. So John Lewis started his journey as a young person, and we continue to be inspired by our young people today. But just before we start this film to learn a little bit more about the life of John Lewis, we're going to take just a little break so that you have enough time, if you need to go to the census table or the voter registration tables and get that work that you need to get done so that we can vote and be counted. So before I stop, I just want to end with a quote by the late, great Congressman John Lewis, where he says, and you've heard a little bit of this before, "Ours is not the struggle of one day. It's not the struggle of 1 week or 1 year. Ours is not the struggle of one judicial appointment or presidential term. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime, or maybe even many lifetimes. And each one of us in every generation must do our part." So thank you guys all for being here tonight on this beautiful night, for doing your part, for going over to those tables if you need to register to vote and to register to be counted, and for getting into a little or a lot of good trouble.